Can y'all hear me? Should be able to hear me. I'm using my phone tonight. I ain't feel like setting up the computer and stuff just for I just want to talk the depth chart. So if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. Won't be on here too long tonight. I did just want to come out here and talk some depth chart. And get y'all's thoughts on that depth chart, man. Let me actually stop that. There we go, that's better. That's a lot better. Shout out to my man Donnie. Hey, man. I can't speak for nobody else, but when I saw that, I burst out laughing. And it's not because of the kid. Like, shout out to somebody that's like working hard and getting it in. Like, that's what's up. Just the fact that I knew that when I saw that name on the 2 deep depth chart, I knew everything was about to explode on social media. It was really the funniest thing that made my day. Seeing Donnie on the 2 deep made my damn day. Y'all have no idea. It really did. Oh, that was so funny. People's reactions were so funny. Who's the last walk-on we had that was good? All right, let's define good. So you have Preston Daniels, who, I won't say he was anything special. I think he caught a couple touchdowns. Am I frozen? Okay, I'm back. I was frozen, but you got a guy like Preston Daniels. I would say the most notable walk-on that I can think of is Javion Elliott, right? I think he ended up getting drafted. I think that was back in Jimbo's tenure, if I'm not mistaken. That's the most notable guy I can think of. Anybody else have a guy? What's up, Jeff? What's up, New King? It's a plastic tip, though, not wood tip. Oh, Trayshawn Ward. Yeah, I forgot about Trayshawn Ward. Good point, guys. I 100% forgot about Trayshawn Ward. He was a walk-on. Good point. I forgot about him. I forgot all about Trayshawn. So let me know when we're ready to talk about the depth chart in What's up, Tyler? Jerry, don't be coming on here hating, bro. No, I get you on the y'all got a game. Y'all's game is Sunday, right, Jerry? Shoot, hop on Saturday then. You get to talk trash, most likely. And yeah. I'll bring you on Saturday. If you got time in your busy, in your busy schedule. Honestly, I mean, if we're being just blunt, there's a couple things that I think you look at a depth chart and you go, And I'm not even talking about Donnie. We'll speak more on Donnie here in a second. But the kid we got from Coastal Carolina, Diggs. What happened to him? What the hell happened to Diggs, man? Is there a way for me to make that bigger? No. I don't like that. Yeah, Donnie is the most famous dude in FSU today. Sure. Diggs on the 2 deep. Brought him over for, but he's a body. Let's start on the offense. I'm trying to think on the offense. So one kind of surprise, I would say, offensively was seeing Lofton listed as a receiver. Lawson listed not in the slot at that. I'm interested if that is an actual thing. Now, we knew LaWayne McCoy had a little bit of an injury. I didn't watch Norvell's interview today. I was too busy laughing on social media. We'll get to the defense here in a minute, Jeff. I think he said when McCoy, though, from what I read, will be missed. Obviously, won't be available, as both are not listed on depth chart. He expects him to be back sooner rather than later. So we'll see what happens there. Well, I mean, I guess we get to the defense, but Amari is listed at tight end and not on defense at all. I don't know about that one. Chroma's not starting. As a matter of fact, Chroma looks like he's the third back, if you ask me. Sawchuck, Roydell, Lucas, which I still say he's the gadget guy, so I'm not 100% sure that Jalen Lucas is getting carries. But he's listed ahead of Chroma. So, your voices sound digital. I'm on my phone today, so that might just be why my voice might sound off. So, sounds not that good. I'm on my phone. Everybody say the voice is off. Hold on, let me see if I can fix it. I don't know. Does that sound a little better? Maybe not. Probably doesn't. I'm just gonna have to bear with me on the voice. I'm sorry. Didn't feel like setting up the whole laptop today to talk a little bit of the depth chart. I got the chipmunk voice going on. That sucks. If it gets better, let me know. If it gets worse, let me know. Might back out and come back in. See if that fixes it. So let me know if it gets any better. If it doesn't, I'll back out and then try to come back in. What else? O-line was interesting. You have Adrian Medley as your backup tackle, with Jacob Rizzi as a or for, I think, both guard spots. It's still pretty bad. That sucks. Give me a second. Let me see. I'm going to refresh it. Maybe it'll get better, maybe not. All right, is it better now? Came back out, went out, came back in. Hopefully it's better. I apologize, guys. I'm on the phone. I'm on my phone. My phone usually don't sound this choppy. Yeah, I think on the offense there weren't a bunch of big surprises. A couple interesting developments across the O-line, I think. Then at receiver, you saw some of those. And then maybe running back. I don't know if running back is super surprising. What's up, Peter? Still not better, but it's okay. It's just tough to hear. That sucks. Use a headset. I gotta go get my earbuds. Give me a second. I'll go get the earbuds, guys. See if I can get this audio fixed. We're gonna get the earbuds. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. What about now? Can you? Do I sound better now with the earbuds in? Can y'all hear me now? Give me a thumbs up if I sound a little better with the earbuds. Let me know. Can you? First of all, can y'all guys hear me with the earbuds in? All right, I sound better with the earbuds. All right, cool. So cool, better. Yeah, I think offensively, not a bunch of surprises. Um, Defensively is where it's a little more interesting. Again, when we talked about Diggs already, Amari Williams not listed on the defensive depth chart at all. I don't know if that's like gamesmanship or what that is. AJ, was it Cottrell, whatever the hell. He's listed on the two deep as a linebacker, and of course uh you got the safety backing up Earl Little at Rover. No Shaheen Brown at all. Charles Lester is actually listed on the two deep. Yeah, Donnie is a very interesting development there. And like I said, no Shaheen. I think the jack position looks a little interesting. Uh, a place where I thought we'd see Amari. Thought we'd see Amari at that jack, and then we don't. Off the top of my head, I can't even remember. I think was Omar Graham at the jack position? I don't remember. Who's at the jack? You got, instead of McCray, he's not starting. No Bates on the two deep. After they spent the offseason talking about how good Bates was, yeah, no Bates on the two deep is interesting. Um, Again, Jenkins actually starting over McCray is an interesting development there. I do expect so different looks up front. So I'm not sure how much to take from the defensive alignment. Omar Graham, yeah, Stephen are at Jacks. No Omari there. And then Juice Cryer and Elijah getting the start at your traditional backer spots. Blake Nicholson, AJ bringing up the rear there. I don't know, man. What is y'all overall thoughts on the roster? I'll be honest. I mean, for me, the roster looks like what I predicted in terms of, I said a 7-5 team. I think that roster that we have looks like a 7-5 team. I can't, you know, I don't really know where else to go with that. I think you look at that depth chart as it stands now, and I think it right now like 7-5 team. I agree. I think that depth chart will evolve week to week.
Nor I also don't think that depth chart is the set end all be all. Jeff says the linebackers don't surprise him. Um, Corner surprises him a little. Of course, the walk on is a big one. Two walk ons on the two deep on the defensive side of the ball. Take from that what you will. I guess, honestly, I think if you listened to Tony White throughout the offseason, some of that stuff shouldn't really be surprising in the sense of he said it. He said you don't if you ain't playing hard or if you ain't giving what he feels you should give on the defense side of the ball, you won't be playing. I think that depth chart resembles some of that. So is it a message to some of these other players? I think it's absolutely a message. I think the more interesting part of the message that being sent is, do some of these guys on the 2D actually get playing time against Bama? Some of that is, some of that is scary. I don't know. Where them Randy backers? Those, I mean, you bring up a point, DC. You bring up not DC. Who's Grill Master said that. You bring up a point. Seeing a guy like AJ at backer is indicative of what Randy was recruiting. Everybody, all the players that Randy recruited, that everybody kind of every offseason tried to justify or hype up. DeMarco Ward no longer on the team. Jordan Eubanks no longer on the team. Tamir Hickman Collins, like all these guys that they recruited, that had you actually been recruiting the position effectively, you wouldn't see an AJ on the depth chart, right? Well, unfortunately, when all those guys that you invested in have transferred out because they couldn't quite cut it at Florida State, this is what you get. You get AJ. We'll see how he plays. Again, some of that stuff is scary. If I see Donnie, um, if I see Donnie out there, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make. If I see Donnie on the field against Bama, that could be something. That could be something. Um, Panama says, hold on, trying to bring the comment up. There it is. I believe we will have a mix-up, standing and blitzing up front because base up defense against Bama will get us killed. We'll see. What do y'all think though? Y'all are we? I mean, I guess you have no choice but to be uh happy. Might not be the right word, but I mean the depth chart is what the depth chart is. No more linebackers with two last names. You also don't see the North Carolina transfer at backer on the depth chart. Had some injuries in the offseason. We'll see if he's going forward, sneaks his way on the two deep. Well, there's some things that we have to watch as the season goes forward. There are some things. Yeah, no Kai. We talked about no Kai. What's what's up with Ricky Knight? Ricky Knight's not on the two deep, but Donnie Hibbert is. What do you make of that? Is Ricky Knight just not? They can't find what to do with them. Um, yeah, some of that stuff is interesting. Kevin Wynn, yeah, he's hurt. No, he probably definitely would have been the rotation. It was kind of good to see Daniel Lyons up there after he's kind of had a quiet off season. It was kind of cool to see a Daniel Lyons. But on defense, it looks like Tony went with the ones that probably um, went with the ones that probably know the scheme better. That's cool. Again, I do think there's some messages being sent on that defensive side of the ball. I'm concerned how much actual playing time they get. The coaches have confidence in Barker. Yep. So we'll see how that plays out. Um, Psycho says maybe we're trying to throw Bama off. Again, could be some gamesmanship, trying to throw Bama off a little bit. Some of that stuff, maybe you take with a grain of salt. Some of it you have some more questions for. Um, Somebody help me out. Who were the starting corners? Of course, Wilson's one. I forget who was the other starting corner. Was it Rawls or is it Q? I think it's Q, if I remember off the top of my head. Is Q the other starting corner? Brian says maybe Donnie is a workhorse glue guy. Maybe. Who's making more out of his talent than expected. It happens elsewhere. It's just dubious. Um, so I'm curious to see who. I'm curious to see how much of the depth chart is like actually set in stone. My my presumption is that a lot of it's not. Was Rawls the second guy? Okay, I couldn't tell. I could. I just forget. I felt like I thought it was Q that was the second other starter, but if it's Rawls, that's as expected. Rawls had a lot of preseason. That Tony White topped up Rawls a lot in the preseason, so that's not a surprise. For some reason, I thought I saw Q there, but either way, Jones is backing up Rawls, who probably gets reps. I think, yeah, I think the um, corners would be fine. I think Donnie, I think Donnie will, I don't know. Interesting. I think the biggest takeaway defensively is no Amari, which I don't think matters because I think they will use Amari on defense. So they didn't list him, but I gotta think they use him, right? That I believe so, right? I think that's one of those. That might be one of those things where they're gaming Alabama, where they're not listing him on the defense, but I kind of think we're going to see him. Um, I like seeing Lester up there. I agree. I like seeing Lester. Um, there's an or with Lester and Q. Looks like Lester caught up to, which is good. I mean, that's a good sign in my opinion. It's good to see Lester out there getting. Just as all I know is Tony White. All I know, Tony White. All I know is in the last scrimmage, he was pissed. He didn't say anybody by name, but he was calling out players mighty. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, DC says it'll be game to game and players to play. Yeah, I expect I expect something very similar. Um, William says, "LOL, Donnie." Shout out to Donnie, man. Number 47. Go get you a Donnie jersey. That's that man. That man became famous overnight. That's that. I don't care what anybody says. That was hilarious. Seeing that name on the 2D, I knew as soon as I saw it. I said, "Oh, Twitter about to have fun with this one." That made my day today. That really made my day. Yeah, I think some of this stuff on the depth chart is a maybe a little bit of a smoke screen. Like I'm not so sure how you what you really see some of the guys named, how much you actually see some of them play. Just like with the defensive front, I think McCray and Jenkins and these guys, I think they're all going to play. Some of the positions, I don't really think it matters who's listed where. Guys are going to rotate. Guys are going to play. So I'm cool with that. Yeah, I saw one of the twins on there. Um, Anton says I'm interested to see if the or with Edwin and Kirkland is situational. Or they competing for that spot. May probably they might rotate series. We'll see. Shout out to Toafili, somebody said. Um, Irv said, yeah, that is clearly a message. I think so too. I think that thing with Donnie is clearly a message as well. Um, Donnie's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day while we laugh. I hope, hey, let's hope so. I hope Donnie Hubert is, what's he weigh, 47? The next John Lynch. He might be. He might be the next John Lynch for all we know. He was a productive high school player. Bryce is also worth noting there are 49 guys that are brand new to the roster. Obviously, going to be a lot of feeling things out in the first few weeks. Um, I guess the biggest question with that, Briley, is I mean, you have no choice. I can kind of answer my own question here, but I'll ask it anyway. But you know, one of the major questions I think going in is it's Bama game one. Do you have time to really feel? Are you conceding that game? In my, like I don't think you're conceding the game, but if you're telling me that it's going to take a few weeks to figure things out, which unfortunately, when you have this much turnover and you're implementing new systems and guys are playing different positions than they may have been used to or recruited for, the question then arises: how much is the staff really planning, I guess, on beating Bama? Or are you just trying to get guys looks, play Bama as competitively as you can, and then you're definitely going to use the Texas or East Texas A&M and the Kent State game, right? You're definitely going to use those games to kind of round out and actually figure out your depth chart, I guess. Um, we'll see what happens there. Just threw my number 16 jersey away. Not white anymore. Oh, hold on. Shout out to Fitz Magic for winning field goal. For winning field goal. When is it? What's he say? When is it 6 years as a head coach? You don't have time to figure things out. Hey, am I reading that right, Jeff? He says when it's year six, you don't have time to figure things out. Hey, you kind of you preaching to the choir there. I don't disagree with you, but the depth chart would kind of point in a different direction. Unless we just have two walk-ons who are all world and should have been, you know, highly recruited. I do think there's a bit of figuring some stuff out here. Briley says to a degree, yeah. You're conversing it a bit. You are between a rock and a beat. You can't ignore the opportunity to learn something about the roster. Oh, I hate being on my phone. When winning is super unlikely. I'm optimistic. Panama says I'm optimistic things can work out like it did when we added transfers in 2023, especially with the O-line additions. Briley meant conceding. 2023, or do you mean 22? If you want to be optimistic, you want to point to 22, where in 22 there was a lot of unknowns on the roster. See, the major difference with 22 is obviously quarterback position was kind of cemented. Jordan Travis had shown signs at the back end of 21 that he had turned the corner. TC still an unknown as far as what he can be. But yeah, in 22, I mean Trey Benson, we had no idea what that was going to be. Remember, everybody kind of hated that. Um, addition just because you brought in a guy coming off a knee injury with no production. Johnny Wilson was unproven, had literally had no production at Arizona State. Um, who else? Just strictly talking offense. I mean, Michael Pittman. You brought in a bunch of transfers in 22 as well that you were trying to still figure some things out. So maybe, again, if you want to be optimistic, um, this is the way you view it. Antoine says Mike doesn't sound like he's expecting to lose. He sounded sneakily confident. Again, I didn't listen to his interview today, but I mean that's good. Good to hear. Mike Norvell. I mean, you got to, right. You got to go into the game with the expectation that you're gonna win. Just interested to see how all these things play out. What do the rotations look like? The Dylan Gibbons year. Dylan Gibbons' first year is 21. That's the year we went 5-7. His second year was 22. So we knew what Dylan Gibbons was because he had came back in 22. Again, 21's not a great year unless you think we're going to go 5-7. Fumbling, drop, punts, FSU has a chance. I mean, if you can get some turnovers, sure, you definitely can have a chance. You definitely can try to. That's one of the keys to victory, right? Forcing some turnover and not turning the ball over. Yeah. So I think I'm just curious actually how they rotate players because for me, you can list who you want on the depth chart, but when it comes time to substitute, again, against the Alabama Crimson Tide, like, are you really putting in Donnie? I guess depending on the situation, like, or maybe Earl just plays every snap, which is also possible. Again, it could be a message, but you might not even see Donnie really get in there. Some of those guys you're gonna have to ride till the wheels fall off. Hopefully they don't fall off, right? But some of those guys you're gonna have to ride. That front seven, the defense. I'll be honest with you, man. I went from being sneaky confident in the defense to now I'm really not so. I heard somebody say 5-7. I am more confident now in the offense. From if I'm just talking about from a talent perspective, man, I think I'm more confident in that offense. That defense has some questions. Terrence, they might be mad at you, bro. Jenkins is familiar with Alabama. Yeah, he's played them. I don't know if that I'm not sure what that means in terms of the overall football game and the position that he plays. Like, okay, him starting though is I think a pretty good sign. And I expect a lot of different kind of lineups up front where I think you'll see I think you'll see I think you'll see a defensive front where they put James Williams at Jack, and you have McCray and Jenkins and Jackson up front at times. Like I expect to see a lot of different type of looks on the defensive front. So I'm not as worried about the defensive front stuff. Um, what's up, Tony? Grandma says the offense looks good. Looks pretty good, honestly. We're going to need to score a lot of points. Man, I had fell asleep during the 6-hour stream, but I finished. Hey, we had fun just on that. The stream, man, we were just having some fun. I'm more confident in the personnel on offense. Yeah, I think on offense you look at it and you don't see anything that is a glaring like, yo, what is this? Even the Lofton thing, to me is an intriguing development. I'm very curious to see how much Lofton actually plays. I'm still going into this game not expecting to see a lot of three wide receivers. Um, I actually think again, I think you're going to see more of the two tight ends, two tight end look, two wide receiver look, with one of those tight ends being more of a receiver threat, right, and one being more of a blocker. Sportsmonitor says 6 at best, can't afford injuries at all, most all positions. Defense is going to struggle, according to Briley. They're going to give up big plays. If FSU is going to win toss-up games, they're going to have the old play super fast and muscle through shootouts. Big ifs. Panama says they're going to have to move James Williams because basing him up against Proctor scares. Uh, Again, that's why I said I think seeing him at Jack wouldn't surprise me. I think the front is gonna that depth chart is just what that depth chart is as far as the defensive front goes. I think you're gonna see a bunch of different looks there. Gonna be interesting. Yeah, Lofton is a big again. Lofton's very intriguing seeing Lofton. Listen at wide receiver, but again, I think it goes to that tight end room where you'll see Estes wasn't listed in tight end. Not surprising there. Um, no Marcus and Douglas, so that's interesting. Yeah, Biscuit's not there. So Demonte Diggs is another portal, a lemon. Yeah, which I mean, we'll see. Again, that's another guy that maybe not listed, but plays a little bit. I kind of said when they brought him in, you can go back and check those streams when we brought him in that I wasn't a big expectation on him. I felt like you brought in a body that you didn't even bring in a major contributor. And the depth chart kind of reflects that. So we'll see. See what happens with Diggs. What can I say about what I can say? Hold on, Jeff, my bad. What I can say about Tony White is he's a good defensive coordinator. He'll mix it up. He's had less talent in other places and still had. So that was one of the points I made a couple weeks ago was like, okay, you saw what he did at Nebraska. Excuse me. You saw what he did at Nebraska with less talent. He should have more talent here than he's had before. So he should still be able to field a solid defense. Um, Proctor, um, Proctor is overrated. Somebody says Proctor, or you're asking, is he overrated? He doesn't handle speed rush very well. Let's say he doesn't handle the speed rush very well, which I don't even know how accurate that is, but let's just say he doesn't. Who do we have to exploit that weakness? I think there's just guys better than Diggs. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. The problem becomes like, when you bring in a portal guy, it's kind of like, and I'm not saying they should have kept this guy or they shouldn't have, we can all talk about what Patrick Payton was or what he wasn't. But is he a better player than Diggs? Regardless of what you think about Patrick Payton, right? Could you kept him over Diggs? You probably could have. But then again, Pat probably didn't even want to be here anymore. So there's that. What's up? No, sir, not me. Uh, what years? I think Diggs is a senior. Um, I'm skeptical, sorry, about that backer room. The defense looks thin. I think that's one of the major concerns defensively. by just basing the depth chart. I think you look at it and you go, man, that defense looks kind of thin. Whether it's backer, again, you have a walk on in that too deep. Whether it's a secondary, which is not a position that I think most of us anticipated was going to look super thin. But when you got old Donnie back there, it's like, you don't have anybody else. No sources, no, someone's getting fired this season. Well, there's only one person left to fire, in my opinion. So take from that what you will. I'll be paying attention to other teams getting my head coach hot board already. Because I'm gonna be looking at some other teams. Got my hot board ready. This is interesting, man. Every just on Saturday, when me and T was in here, everybody was mad at Terrence's 5-7 prediction, and y'all was low key mad at my 7-5 prediction. And now sounding like a lot of people look at this roster and said, you know what? 7-5 is probably what. I mean, honestly, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like a 7-5 roster, if we're just being honest. Papuchis. Yeah, but again, another scapegoat, bro. Another scapegoat. Grillmaster says Papuchis could be the one. Yeah, sure. We'll see what happens there. Do you feel like y'all have any advantages against Bama? By position or just no? I'm trying to think of something. The only thing, the only really advantage I can think of is that our quarterback. Well, I'm not sure if he's better than Ty Simpson or not. It's kind of irrelevant. What's more relevant is that at least our quarterback has game experience, like major game experience that Ty doesn't have. So if that's an advantage, you can check one in the block for Florida State. That's one of the major advantage, or I wouldn't even call it major, but that's one of the few advantages that I can think of, right? You have a more game experience quarterback. Um, that's about it, though. Pop survived the first wave, yeah. Yeah, I think eight, and I'll be honest, just based off what we have today, to me, I think 8-4 would be like that would be an accomplishment, man. It's year 6, man. That roster looked like year 2. I think 8-4 would be an accomplishment. The advantage is dope. That's it. We ain't got not one advantage except the element of surprise. No one knows how we're gonna look. That's fair. I'm sick of this head coach. Buddy got us going backwards. Hey man, 8-4. I still have them that record. When will I see now if we start getting injuries, then that changes everything. So Jeff, you think as the roster stands now, even without the injuries, you still see 8-4. Interesting. 8-4 is our ceiling. In my view, I don't think coaching will help. I agree. You can talk about coaching all you want. Um, the roster is what the roster is, right? The horses is what you got. So got to make the most out of it. Again, I think 8-4 would be an accomplishment. You saying it's our ceiling, and I tend to agree with that, which is a different outlook that I had a couple weeks ago because I was leaning, you know, I thought maybe we could do, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I expected some guys to be further along in the development process. We got 2 walk-ons on the depth chart. God help us. There are no athletic disadvantage. We have no facts. There are no athletic advantages that you can think of. There's an element of surprise, which if you don't catch them early, I don't know how much that surprise accounts for anything, right? So surprise matters like, okay, are they going to try some trickeration early? The longer it takes to get a feel for what FSU is trying to do, the less that surprise element, you know, factors in. Ultimately, that team's gonna settle down and be what it is. Can you catch them slipping early and get some quick, like easy points? You know, maybe on a flea flick, you know, something where you get some easy looks, and you can get an easy couple points, couple touchdowns, maybe you know. But that surprise element is only gonna last for so long. Um, just scheme, Tommy run. I really hate being on my phone. Dancy has speed advantage over just about anybody, but that's about it. And then like even with the Danzy thing, how do you set that up? Because if it's just put him outside and let him run go routes, well, Bama can counter that. You know? So a lot of that stuff it sounds good on paper, bro. I just don't know how you implement some of it. Crazy is this a different group? The whole mood shifted since Friday. Yeah. Jeff says, yeah, because it's what I expected. The depth chart. The only thing is the defense is a little questionable, but we get some players back like Kevin Wynn. Yeah, I hear you, but how much in the win-loss column do you attribute to a freshman defensive tackle who even at even the best freshman type of D tackles, they're not instant impact guy. I mean, Timmy Jernigan as a freshman was a solid player, but he wasn't a guy that you were counting on. It wasn't a guy that was game changing like he became as a junior, obviously. Eddie Goldman and these other, high rated guys like a Kevin Wynn. I'm putting him in that category. Even if he was healthy, the position that he plays, he's not Aaron Donald. He's not. He doesn't add a win, in my opinion, to the record. So yeah, it's going to be good to have him back for depth purposes. But even still, how much are you really expecting out of Kevin Wynn? You know, sports. So let's talk about the 7-5 saved my job. Sorry, hold on. What's the point of keeping him outside of not paying the buyout? The 7-5 saved his job. I don't think he gets fired for 7-5. Again, what I want and what actually is going to happen is a different conversation. No, I don't think he gets fired at 7-5. What's the point of keeping him? That's a great question. Again, I've already talked about that before at length. You're just treading water at a certain point. It is game week, my man. Jalen Lucas will definitely be. I agree, right? This comes to that element of surprise that we're talking about. Like, what can you get Jalen Lucas on some interesting matchups early in the game before maybe a Bama can adjust? Some of that deep stuff, maybe you can free up some stuff underneath with the tight ends. How effective can Squirrel White be? The problem I have with some of the receivers that we're naming is that you still have to have a quarterback to give them the ball, right? Those things still, you can talk about Squirrel White and Deuce Robinson and all these guys all you want. Can TC get them the ball? Growmaster says, I got 60 million reasons why he ain't getting fired. So just a lot of questions. But to be fair, we've been saying it over here. That was one of the intriguing things about this team was the unknowns. And as the season draws closer, some of the questions that we had are being answered. I don't know if we like some of the answers, but we have our first look at the depth chart. And if nothing else, Mike Norvell knows how to get this fan base riled up because that depth chart is hilarious. It is hilarious. I'm very interested though to see how that O line shakes out. I'm interested to see if Rizzy actually gets to start. I was never a big fan of Richie Leonard, so to me, when I see Rizzy possibly starting, I almost want to call Tallahassee and be like, yeah, man, go ahead and start Rizzy over Leonard. I get it. Leonard's experienced, and he in his limited time last year was probably the best O lineman you had, but that's not saying much. There was just nothing that, in my opinion, he did at Florida. Like that O line got better at Florida when he left. The O line is the Gainesville has one of the better O lines in the country, at least preseason wise, going into this year. Obviously, you know, things were said last year about Florida State's unit, and it didn't come to fruition. Um, so just on paper, Florida's, I mean, even last year, but Florida's O line got better after he left. I, I kind of hope they start Rizzy, if I'm being honest with you. My man Jeff with $20. Shout out to Jeff. $20 super chat. He says, we got 2 cupcakes. That is a fact. West Virginia has a ton of injuries. Well, I think you mean Virginia. We don't play West Virginia. But yes, Virginia has a ton of injuries. Wake Forest and Stanford seem like they are terrible. Well, we don't know about Wake yet. Stanford did lose to Hawaii this past weekend. Um, Plus, I think we win at least one of our rivalries. That's how I get the 8 wins. Okay, gotcha. Thank you for that, Jeff. I'm on my phone, but I can still give you your video. Shout out to my man, Jeff. Where is it? There it is.
My name is Jeff.
Um, yeah, I know you met Virginia, but yeah, I think to the point that we routinely made the offseason outside of the big 4 games. Shut up, mutt. Outside of the big 4 games, yeah, the schedule isn't exactly tough, and some of these ACC teams they're going through their own transition. We dodged a bullet with some of the teams that you would consider the upper echelon of the ACC in terms of no Georgia Tech this year, no SMU, right? You missed out on those two. Obviously, you're going to get Miami and Clemson every year, so that's just you got to take that and try to find a way to win those games. But you did miss the SMUs and the Georgia Techs, but you still got some tough games. We'll see. I see one out of the big 3 being an upset. My Alabama, Miami, and Clemson. Please be Bama. So you don't think we could upset the Gators, but you think we could upset Bama, Miami, and Clemson. Interesting. Hey, you win game 1, and all the stuff about the depth chart and stuff goes out the window. It doesn't matter. Even if you lose game 1, you use the 3 games leading up to Miami to prep for that game. Then you still got to see how Miami looks on Sunday. So Miami's the team that I'm looking at. If you're gonna pull an upset, that's the team. And I'm not just saying that because it's Miami. I'm just saying that because you get Bama at the right time, but you also get them at an interesting time. The double-edged sword with Bama, because I think you want to get Bama when they're implementing their first-time starting quarterback who hasn't played a lot. However, you're also implementing a lot of stuff of guys who haven't played together a lot. So that's again, double-edged sword. Clemson, I Clemson, I just don't feel like you have a chance. I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. I just don't feel like you have a chance with Clemson. I think from top to bottom, Clemson just has a better roster, and Miami, some of it just remains to be seen. And you think the Gators are a big win? Okay, I can use a year without Clemson. Florida's interesting. Again, Florida's always up in the air. You're playing the last game of the season. Does Lagway make it through the season? What about some of these other injuries the Gators have? Are these just little nitpicking injuries, or some of these injuries linger for the Gators? Then they had the gauntlet of the SEC schedule that they have. So there's that. Yeah, I don't. Clemson's the one game. If you told me, I said it before. Like I'm not. I won't get too high on even if you beat Alabama. I wouldn't. We'd have a good time with the win, but I wouldn't get too on a big on the high horse. However, I will say if you can find a way to beat Bama, that Clemson game looks more manageable. In terms of talent, they're probably similar, but you also face Clemson later on in the season. They'll have all their gears greased by then. Look for Clemson to be rolling at that point of the season. So that Clemson game is, I have very, very little expectations for that game. Can you just keep that? People talk about keeping the Bama game competitive. Can you keep the Clemson game on the road competitive? Jeff says, well, here's the funny thing. I don't take this seriously because I think it's a bunch of crap. Blue chip ratio Clemson at 55, FSU at 53. Take it as you want. Yeah, but a lot of those guys are NFL prospects where FSU can't even get its blue chips on the field on their own depth chart. Instead, we got Donnie and AJ on the depth chart. So, yeah, it's kind of the difference there. Said Irv says, no, Miami's the one I think we beat too. But I'm more worried about losing to another ACC team we should beat. Like a NC State, right? Like NC State and Pitt are probably the two, and Virginia Tech. Those are probably the three. That's so Virginia Tech, but those other two are probably the two that I say if you're gonna drop a game that on paper you probably should win, you're gonna drop a game, it would be to Pitt or to NC State. Virginia Tech is a possibility, though I don't look at Virginia Tech. I, I'm not as nervous about Tech as I am about those other two. 9-3 is our ceiling. We don't know what UF will be at the end of the schedule they have. 9-3 is a hell of an accomplishment. If you make it to 9-3 with this roster, and I said it the other day when I made my prediction, you get me to 9-3, all right, right? Like, okay, that's a hell of a coaching job. TC is gonna go into Clemson. Oh Lord, Panama, don't do that. Yeah, and then NC State, y'all know the history of going up there to Raleigh, North Carolina, like that. That is what it is. And I don't even know what NC State's like, what their projection is this year. So yeah, Bama has a running back out, but it's a running back, and it's Alabama. And I'm not saying that's Alabama just to say it's Alabama. I am saying that Bama's got running back. It would be like if someone said Roydell Williams was out. FSU fans would be like, okay, and We got other backs. And that's the kind of the way I'm pretty sure Bama's looking at it. Okay, Miller's out, and we got other guys. And I expect Bama to have other guys. It's going to come more to what's the old line at Bama looking like. You know, so I took one look at the depth chart um, and knew we were doomed. It's going to take a lot of coach. Yeah, 9-3 is a push. 9-3 is a push, man. Again, 8-4 is like, okay, you 8-4 is an accomplishment. Like I know y'all don't like me saying it, but this is a 7-5 team, and 6-6 is not above the realm of possibility, guys. And you mess around and fall asleep one game, and you're going from 7-5 to 6-6 or 5-7. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Granted, you can argue that 8-4, 9-3 isn't out of the realm of possibility either. A lot of things would have to go right, though, for that to happen. Okay, Spencer Taylor, you got it. You allowed, keep that energy. Somebody has to believe, and I love it that there are so many y'all that actually that believe it. I love it. I don't believe it, but that doesn't make me right. Just like that doesn't make you right or wrong with your beliefs. Keep the energy. It'll help me get through the season. 4-8, not out of the realm of possibility either. A lot of things. Well, that's 4-8 is crazy. What I will say about that is you're right to the extent. That's why I say 8-4, 9-3 is going to take a hell of a coaching job because a lot more things have to go right to get that than go like you don't even have to get bit by the injury bug, in my opinion. And this could still be a 7-5 team. Again, most likely will be a 7-5, 6-16. God forbid you get bit by the injury bug and 6-6, 5-7, like that stuff becomes a reality. I think the path to 5, 6 wins is stronger than the path to 8 and 9 wins. I just really, really believe that. What's up, Zay? And this isn't even about last year. Like I don't care about last year at this point, right? The season has started. So I'm no longer talking about the 2-10. I'm simply saying based on talent given. Does this look like a Florida State roster to anybody in the chat? I mean, I see 80 people in here, bro. I see 80 people. I know there's a good portion of people that's gonna sit here and be like, oh, he just on here complaining again. And I'm getting that a lot these days because I'm not a fan of what's going on in the program. I'm a bad fan. So I'm getting that a lot. I'm getting a lot of here you go again, whining and complaining. Um, but again, I got 80 people in here. Yeah, somebody tell me that's an FSU roster. I saw a super chat. Shout out to my guy. Hold on. Mayfordville, our resident Louisville. Come on. See, that's why I hate being on my phone. There we go. May for the Ville says, keep it positive, bro. You don't tell me to keep it positive. I don't know what Louisville's looking like this year. But you can miss me with the. First of all, I don't think I'm being negative. I'm just being transparent. Just being transparent. But I can't lie. Not a lot of good things looking right now. I mean, it just the optics of what I'm seeing is like, oh Lord. It's nasty stuff going on in Tallahassee right now. But I appreciate that super chat, man. And don't we gotta I know we don't play Louisville this year, but We're gonna have to link. We'll have to link sometime soon.
Clickety clank, clickety clank. The money goes into my piggy bank.
All right, let's see some more of these comments. Antoine says 4-8 is crazy. Injury bug including. QB is the only way that happens. Hey man. 4-8 is pretty 4-8 is insane. 4-8 is pretty insane. I agree with you. No matter who the opponent. Oh, I'm not listening to you, Zay. The only thing that gives me hope is the offense. Hold on, let me share this chat. Only thing that gives me hope is the offense looks decent. You can win games off good offense. We had none last year. That's true. We had none. And again, I don't think the defense is going to be terrible. The personnel on defense it just seems like it's going to be a revolving door, and it might take the defense a minute to get its bearing straight. More than I initially thought. Right. So we'll see what happens. He said we look like damn Syracuse or Memphis. Josh says Bama was terrible on the road and couldn't stop a mobile QB to save life last season. If this holds up true, again, we have more than a shot. I hear you. Here's my problem with that. Y'all don't like it when people bring up 2-10. They keep, when people bring up 2-10, this is a new year, this is a new team, new coaches, X, Y, and Z. But for some reason, it's okay to bring up Bama's mishaps last year. Pick a side. You gotta pick a side. Either it's a new season and we're leaving last year in the rearview mirror, and we're just gonna go off whatever it is we're gonna go off of, or we can still reference last year. Because if we can still reference last year, I cringe at these arguments that be like Bama lost to Vanderbilt. Damn it, you lost to Memphis. Damn it, you lost to everybody. You went 2-10. So I cringe when it's like, oh, Bama was X and Y and Z last year. Well, damn it, what were you last year? Oh, well, this is a new team. Well, you don't think Bama has new additions? They've made coaching changes. Bama has done different things as well. So it's like, which one is it? Is it a new team? Is it a new year? Are we basing? I don't know. Y'all tell me. Jeff says, not a roster I used to growing up with Bobby. What do you think? I don't think it's a roster that I'm used to at all. Um, unless guys outperform what we initially think, right? So, not even joking, not talking about Donnie and AJ, but is and I hate again, I said this on social media like a week or two ago. I'm very concerned with the amount of freshmen that FSU has on this two deep roster and that they are expecting to contribute in a major way. Even if speaking to all the people out there that are like super positive and super optimistic, that's awesome. Not telling you to not be like that. You should be. And even if you're in that mode, that group of people, can you look at a team that's counting on this many freshmen across both sides of the ball and go, yeah, you're fielding what kind of you because you're not fielding a conference contender. So you're just fielding what, an average football team and building for the next year? If that's the argument that's being made, then I can get on board with that. But if you're telling me that with all these freshmen that are going to be asked to contribute, the Loftons of the two deep, you got I think Max Redmond on the two deep, Arnaud in the two deep. Well, I don't think Arnaud. I think Arnaud's on the backing up one of the corner spots. Like Chroma, obviously, which well deserved. Boggs, well deserved. One of the twins is on the two. Like if you're looking at that entire roster and going, damn, there's freshmen that are expected to contribute at almost every position. And yet you still think that this team's going to compete for something of significance? Yeah, I kind of got to go with like you're being a little delusional, right? That's just me though. Robert says, Polk, we already knew who we had as FSU players, so why everyone so shocked when when said it don't think it's gonna. Well, because everybody kept telling me all season that this is an 8-4, 9-3 team. Then the roster gets released and everybody's like, I agree with you, Robert. I don't know what people would necessarily thought they were gonna see. When I said 7-5, I got a lot of backlash. People didn't like that prediction. Then you people looking at the roster and they're like, oh wait, that's 7-5. I think some of the walk-ons I think threw people off though. I will say that. I think some of the walk-ons really threw some guys off, threw some fans off. And then again, for me, it's the amount of freshmen that we're counting on. We're counting on a lot of freshmen to contribute on this team, which is again, if freshmen deserve to play, they deserve to play. I think it was somebody put on Twitter. It might have been Freddie. He said, "Age or greatness doesn't have an age limit," and that's 100, right? Shout out to that. But there is something to be said about experience. There is something to be said, about with young players comes lumps, comes the headaches, comes the mistakes. That's just a part of the game. So that's kind of, I don't disagree with you though, Robert. Like I, yeah, I don't disagree with you. That's what I'm saying, Hank. You can't bring up Bama last year and then all of a sudden think, well, Bama wasn't good last year. Your favorite team. like what are we talking about? Hey, this is real, Antoine. I might be one of them. I might fall in this category. Like, thought the defense was gonna be a little better, and then I saw Donnie and AJ, and I said, "Whoa, wait a minute! We done got some. We done went and picked up some boys from Discount Auto Parts to throw on defense. What's going on here?" I know Bama. Yeah, that new stadium gonna win you some games. What it says? Can you put the depth chart from Georgia Tech up and compare it? If I was on my computer, I actually would. Um, but we don't have to put it up. Let's just go off the top of our domes. Starting quarterback, DJ TC this year. I will give the nod to TC. Not that I think TC's necessarily a better player than DJ. Matter of fact, y'all see DJU playing for the Chargers? Where the hell was that guy last year? But that's neither here nor there. I'll give TC the nod simply for the fact of the offense probably fits TC better than what DJ walked into last year. Running backs, I mean, Roydell started last year. He's going to start this year. But you could argue that the room, no Cam Davis on the two deep. I think that's a plus. I talked about it the other night, or maybe a night or 2 weeks ago, saying that I think Cam Davis maybe should redshirt this year. They don't really need. He's not going to play over Sawchuck, Roydell, and Lucas and Chroma. You might want to redshirt him. If you redshirt him, you can try to figure out, what to do with them. He was like the second string back last year. But you got Lucas, you got Roydell. I felt like Lucas had a couple big early touches last year, and they completely went away from him. Never touched the ball again. Didn't understand that. Running backs are kind of even, with the exception of a couple. Sawchuk and Chroma probably are better all around pieces than Cam Davis and whoever else we had. I just some reason I just remember Roy. And Toll Feely. Toll Feely. Uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Then if you go to receiver, yeah, our receivers this year are better. I will concede that. O-line's definitely better. At the time, though, you wouldn't have thought that because we had all these returning starters. I think FSU returned like the most experienced offensive line last year. Well, they didn't play like it. Um, defensively, defensively's got some bigger names. Joshua Farmer, I mean, he got drafted. Daryl Jackson, who's still on the team. Patrick Payton, Marvin Jones, big names, didn't do shit for you. I think the depth, though, one of the guys we don't talk about is the guy that they got from Oregon State, Leo Leahy or something like that. Had your starters been better, he was actually pretty effective for you. I don't know, man. I don't know if the rosters. I would still give the nod to last year's roster because you had, AZ, Joshua Farmer. You had guys that ended up going to the NFL on that roster. So I would still give the nod probably to last year's roster. Samson's a disappointment. He's about to wake up Monday sick. Honestly, I think we can have a top 30 offense. Top 30 offense. That's probably not a stretch. I don't think that's a stretch, actually, Jeff. I think given the teams you play outside of the big four, yeah, you can rack up some stuff on offense. Oh man. Hold on. Stupid. Okay, there we go. Stupid phone. Because I saw a comment that I gotta address. Josh. Josh says this is a move to weed out people who won't buy into the culture that they're trying to build and do it the way coaches are teaching them. Bro, Josh, I have so many problems with this comment. And year one, year two, yeah, these are the moves you make. We're talking year 6, and we're still trying to build a culture and weed out players in year 6. Who brought in the players that we have to weed out? If in year 6 we're still trying to build a culture and weed out players, is that not? I know y'all say things to try to support the head coach, but comments like this is a major indictment on that head coach. It really is. I'm catching up in the comments, guys. So I'm just passing over to them. Irv says, hold on. Y'all bear with me. I'm on my phone, so it's a little harder to scroll. Irv says, I do think the defensive depth chart will be fluid. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that depth chart you see today is going to be the depth chart you see next week or the week after. Like, the longer Donnie is on the depth chart, the more concerned I think we all should be. But anyway, Tony's still working to get guys where he wants them. Facts. I agree with that. Louisville's a new powerhouse, man. Stop it. think, am I caught up? Nope, I'm still not caught up in the my bad, y'all. Trying to get caught up in the chat. Go Noles beat Bama. Marcus Freeman about to go statue, bro. It was FSU 31, Bama 28. Hey, William, you've been consistent. I ain't mad at it. Keep speaking it into existence. They say when you speak things into the universe, you manifest them. So y'all continue to manifest. As long as y'all's voices are louder than mine, y'all can manifest the win. I just don't believe in. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. If we lose, I'll take the blame, which is usually how that goes anyway, right? We'll lose, and then people will blame the fans. Oh, y'all was talking trash about the team and we lost, like as if our words affect on-field play. So there's that. I'll take the L. I'll take the blame if we lose. What's up, Antonio? But yeah, the depth chart is the depth chart. Again, I think offensively is very intriguing. I think offensively, there's some very intriguing things with the Lofton move, and even along the O line and who's kind of backing up who might be starting. Very interested to see how that offense as a whole shakes out. How much will Chroma touch the ball? How much better is Roydell? Like, he's, in my opinion, he's been the unwavered starter this entire offseason. Everybody was trying to talk Chroma into being the starter. And I kept saying, if you listen to the coaches, man, they keep telling you that Roydell is the guy. And sure enough, Roydell will probably be the guy that gets the first carry in the game. And then Sawchuk is another one where interested to see how that looks. Offensively, I'm a lot more intrigued. Defensively, it looks like they're still working out some kinks. The problem is you're trying to work out kinks against a team. Unless you're counting that Ty Simpson just isn't it, and you think you can work some of those kinks out against Bama's offense, and maybe you can, right? Maybe some of this is for naught, and some of the concern on defense isn't going to be exploited because they might not just have the quarterback to exploit it. And so you can work out some things. It's possible because Ty Simpson is a major unknown as well. That's the best case scenario I can see for the defense, right? Is that dude just isn't it. And there's a reason why he couldn't beat out Milroe. There's a reason why he sat at Bama for 3-4 years and couldn't get on the field. It's possible. It's 100% possible. If we lose, I'm out 500. You are a fool. Frankly, Spencer, you should have bet me that. Y'all just be handing out money. $500? Bro, you could have, and I don't even come on here and ask for super chats, but you could have put that in the chat and that would have been put to more use. You put $500 on this game, you just said, I'm going to give away some free money today. That's crazy. I hope they win. Honestly, I hope they win. I hope you get it. I hope they win for you. But man, that's not a bet I would take. Not a bet I would take. Shout out to William. Hold on, trying to get to your chat, William. He dropped the cool 3 bills. Go Knowles, great show. Yeah, I ain't gonna be on here too much longer. Just want to do a quick depth chart conversation. I appreciate that. And yeah, man, like I said, I got 80 something people in here, man. Smash the like button for you, boy.
Go your motherfucking ass to sleep. Whoa, shit, what the fuck good buddy hit me with? I told him I wasn't sleepy. He had to have a brick in that bitch.
Roydell better show something. I don't believe the hype. That's something that you got to be like, got to look forward to because they believe in Roydell. So whether or not we believe in the Roydell hype, they believe in him. So and behind the better O line, let's see. Roydell's average at best. I mean, let's see. What up, Terrell? Josh says if things go south again, do we try to bring back Jimbo? He is waiting to get back. I don't know. I don't know what they do. A good point was made that maybe Jimbo burnt too many bridges on the way out. That's not actually realistic. Who knows? Um, Alford, from what I understand and what have been said, might look at a guy like Lane Kiffin. I don't think Deion Sanders is a realistic option. If we win, I got half. Okay. If we win and you get $500, you ain't got to give me nothing. $500 is a crazy bet though. We shocked. What do you say? We shocked. Chroma ain't No, I don't think so. I'm not. I'm not. I've been pretty consistent, right? If Chroma's the best, then play him. But I've been pretty consistent that I don't want to put too much on Chroma's plate too early. It doesn't mean he won't see the ball. He'll see the ball against Bama. But throwing him out there in a game situation with the lights on is one thing. Asking him to pick up blitzes and do all these other things. So for me, no, I don't think Chroma's where he should be as of right now. That's just me though. Roydell can take over a game and win a game for you. He won the USF game at USU and came up big in the Georgia game. All right, y'all. That's all I got tonight. I just wanted to do a quick little touch on the depth chart. It's already been an hour and 30, so I'm definitely on a Monday not gonna be on here super long. An hour and 30 is a good time. I just want to get y'all's thoughts on the depth chart, see how everybody's feeling. We got a game Saturday. Um, this does not replace my game preview live stream that I'm going to do either Wednesday or Thursday, so we'll still be doing that. Um, but yeah, that's all I want to do. I want to just get out there, talk this depth chart, see what see where everybody's head's at, and everybody's head is about where I expect it to be. Some of y'all are staying strong, man, keeping the faith, and I applaud that. But some of us are starting to see the writing on the wall. As always, man, it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Cinema TV. Stay classy, 7-0s. We are out here. Go Noles. Yeah, game week. Try to get excited. I'm gonna try to get excited. I'll catch y'all.